Good evening, everybody. What's
Good
up?
evening.
What's up?
How you doing?
How's
We
everyone?
survived Christmas.
Yes, we did.
We did. Man, every year, and actually my grandfather used to say this. My mom said every Christmas, like I guess Christmas Day, at the end of the day when it was winding down, he'd say, another one's done come and gone. and that is how it is. Like I feel like always there's such this build up, and then it's done. And it's done.
I got lucky this year. I say this year, every year. We cheat because we do Thanksgiving at my sister-in-law's house, and so we do Christmas at our house. So everyone comes to us.
Yeah.
So that's a blessing in
That's
itself.
good.
Yeah.
Man, Christmas for me, honestly, was just 5 of us.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
I watched a lot of football.
Yeah. Now my big football day is coming up.
Yeah.
New Year's weekend.
Yeah.
That's the only time of the year I completely binge on football. And
What is the significance? I'm out of the loop here.
well, it's when the big bowl games.
Yeah.
happen,
Gotcha.
Bowl
Okay.
all
games.
that stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I like every now and then I like one of the small bowl games, but
Yeah.
you got to hold out for the big
Yeah.
ones, And then you got, the Rose Parade and all the stuff. And, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, first, we need you guys to hit that like button,
Yep.
hit subscribe,
Hit it.
Hit the bell notification.
and comment. If you're watching this on
Yeah.
YouTube, just comment. Tell us, even if you just wish us a happy new year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, we want to hear from you guys.
Or, just, hey, this is really a terrible job.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us what a poor
Tell
job
us
we
we
did.
suck. We're okay.
I will argue with you in there gladly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that's why they don't. 'Cause,
Okay, I won't. Maybe I'll be nice.
I mean,
I'll be more reverent.
they know all about your acerbic wit, and, and
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either. I'm like, what is acerbic? He's I'm glad you said it,
I'm
Pat.
mad. I'm right there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like,
Look it up,
man,
look it
I'm
up.
the dummy over here.
ASCERBIC, acerbic.
I'll have to get you to spell it again for me before I can.
ASCERBIC.
BIGWORD.
So they don't want to go into this thing, like feeling like they're bringing a knife to a gunfight. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying?
That's
Yeah.
true. So, all right, yeah, sharp and forthright.
That's it.
I appreciate that.
That's it.
I feel like it's a
Absolutely.
little bit of a sarcastic compliment, but I appreciate that.
No, I was totally sincere in the spirit of brotherly love.
Yes.
So this is our last podcast before 2024.
That's right. And
Man.
so 2 things. We got to get the last joke of the year.
The last,
And I
joke
feel
of
like
the
it's
year.
really got to just blow our socks off.
Oh,
And
man.
while you ponder on it, for everyone watching, we're going to take Peter out back and put a beating on him because he missed inconceivable.
The
I did.
word this is probably the most hyped I've been.
This, look, and also this has been 4 months, 5 months,
Yeah.
a challenge that he's
always met.
He
I've nailed it every
finally
time.
dropped one. And so this is like the one little win in my column.
But
Me
this
and
was
Logan can gloat.
This
is
was
true.
the softball. This was, I mean, this was
Inconceivable.
right down the middle.
Yep. Yeah.
I know. I got flustered. We had some technical difficulties in the program just right before I was supposed to speak, and so I was recovering. I was trying to keep the ship upright, and I was stressed, and I was never let them see you sweat, and I got up there, and it's just like, read the script. Just read the script.
Now,
Everyone gets one.
would it have? I know you said it would have helped because I messed with Peter off air and I said, what if I had just held up a sign that said inconceivable? Would you have had to fight the urge to just laugh?
No, actually, I would have been very grateful at that point, because that would have just like been the one thing that just clicked me
Snapped
back,
you
on
back,
track.
yeah.
But you know what, though? If you can say one error in the year, I mean, hey,
That's
take
pretty
it.
good.
Take
That's
it.
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was quite inconceivable.
It was inconceivable. But it was going to be so good too, because
Yeah.
Mary conceived and bore a child. Inconceivable. It was it was just going to be too good.
It was
And
a
I
lob.
It
I
was.
swung and missed the whole thing. But so what we're going to do here, this is going to be a little bit more of an informal
You just
show.
bypassed the joke.
He is.
Oh, I
He's
forgot.
trying to.
I forgot.
You're
about-
trying hard.
I
Yeah.
forgot about the joke. No, okay. Here's one of my favorite dad jokes.
All right.
Okay. Did you hear about the new restaurant on the moon?
No.
Great food, no atmosphere.
Nice.
Great food, no atmosphere.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's pretty good.
That
Yeah,
is.
pretty good.
That is.
Yeah. It's top 5 dad jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what we're going to do is now we just want you all to just sort of kind of roll with us on this one. And this is where some of these comments are going to come in handy too, because we're gonna do a little year in review, kind of look back over 2023, not just at some significant events, although we will highlight a few, but also just like, how did this last year feel? What was the vibe? What was your favorite experience? What was your favorite movie or song, or all these different kinds of things? Because every year I feel like has some almost like a character to it.
Yeah, for
Wouldn't
sure.
you say?
Yeah.
And so we've been through a lot in the last few years.
We have.
And so it's probably good for us to just reflect a little bit.
Yeah.
I do want to say that it's important that we sort of acknowledge some people that we lost in 2023, and in the church world we lost some giants. We lost Tim Keller. Tim Keller, famous pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian Church in New York City. We lost your
best friend.
Yeah, we did. Moment of silence.
Yeah.
Michael Heiser. I really am sad about that too, because I've just been benefiting so much from his content. I wish he was around to make some more. Michael Heiser, for sure. The Pentecostal icon, the giant Pastor Jack Hayford.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Hayford died this year. Oh man, one of the most iconic preachers of our time, Charles Stanley, passed away this year.
That's right.
And one of the more controversial figures, Pat Robertson, died.
Yeah.
That ain't is that the 700 Club guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What's it? He was controversial? I never watched the 700 Club.
Oh, well, honestly, in his heyday, he was not all that controversial. He was pretty on the conservative side for sure. But, some odd things happened in the last few years. He retired, and he came out of retirement, and he had a lot of these prophetic words, and there was some kind of conspiracy theory-ish stuff. And I just wanted to go, Pat, you should have stayed retired.
Just stay retired.
Yeah.
So I know he's in heaven and Jesus has set him straight, so everything will be okay. But so those are in church world anyway. Some big deals.
What's some non-church world ones? Let's see. Let's see
Why don't you look that up?
I will.
And while we're doing that, just a couple of little things that happened. Honestly, I looked through a lot of material as to what are some of the most significant events of 2023. I feel like, unfortunately, 2023 was the year of the mass shooting.
Yes,
that was very prevalent.
Oh my gosh, I look at these papers, and I mean it's just like one after another, and that's just disheartening, and I just don't know how to feel about that. I feel terrible about that, honestly.
Yeah.
But we do know that Tom Brady retired.
Yep.
Kind of like Pat Robertson, I guess.
We lost Jeff Beck.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
And this doesn't say, man, Tina Turner.
Yes, that's
Leslie
right.
Marie Presley.
Yeah.
Matthew Perry.
I forgot about that too. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, it's looking through here. It's kind of crazy. All the different people.
Man, every year we lose more and more heroes.
Yeah. I'll tell you the one that's going to hit me hard. There's two that's going to really hit me hard when they go. And the first one is Clint Eastwood.
Man, I'm going to be inconsolable.
Yeah. And
for at least a week.
The dude is like 90.
Yep.
Man, he's still making movies. But he's one, and then the other is Arnold Schwarzenegger, just because he's a childhood hero.
Yeah.
And it is so strange now, because I still watch Commando, Terminator, and all that stuff. So like I watch him, and this is one of the weird things to me it's cool and strange, I feel like, with film, is it almost makes them forever young. So then you see them like in an interview or on Instagram, and they're old, and I'm like,
it's alarming, isn't it?
It is.
I agree.
It is. So yeah.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Oh man, I figured I figured he died a long time ago. Is that the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
Yeah, all 17 verses of it.
I love that song.
There was one more that I saw.
It's like, man, couldn't you make that ship go down quicker?
And Gary Rosington from Skinner.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Was he the last living original?
No. I don't know. Maybe he
He
is.
might be. I don't remember.
What, didn't ZZ Top lose a guy?
That was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Billy
Okay.
Gibbons.
Yeah.
Man, the years all flow together.
I know they do. There's some things that I thought happened a couple of years ago that happened this year, and then vice versa.
Wait,
Yeah.
was it Billy Gibbons or Dusty Hill?
Dusty. I don't think Billy's dead.
Yes, I think it was
Billy's
Dusty
still
Hill.
alive.
Yeah,
That's
it was
right.
Dusty Hill.
Yeah,
My
That-
bad. My bad, Billy.
Or maybe it was Frank Beard.
No, Frank Beard's still alive.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was Dusty.
It was really probably the year of the mass shootings. Now, I haven't looked at the statistics to see if it was more this year than normal, but it
I don't
seemed
know.
like it was.
And they were all very highly publicized.
Yeah.
So they were very much front and center. You had the, the Covenant School in Nashville.
Hey, and I'll give a round of applause to the police.
Oh,
Man,
Yeah.
because that was one of the big things you saw the difference of the Texas ordeal where, man, I couldn't imagine a situation like that. But in Texas, it was kind of like they waited for a long time before they went in. Dude, the cops in Nashville, man, they got in there. They
did.
did not
did.
waste any time.
I did.
You could not pay me enough to be a police officer today.
Oh,
No,
my
me
gosh.
neither.
Could you imagine the stress?
No.
Yeah. And
Hats
then
off to you.
Yes.
there was that shooting at a dance studio, remember, in
Yep.
California?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that one.
It's so many that you almost have
They just
a hard
run
time
together. I know.
remembering. Yeah.
I know. We need to pray about that.
Yeah.
But on a good note, in February, LeBron James breaks the NBA's all-time scoring record.
Yeah, he did.
Are you a fan of LeBron?
I'm an admirer. Let's
Yeah.
put it that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing. We'll get into a little bit of this in a bit. But one thing I respect about LeBron James is he has been relatively scandal-free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He appears to, be into his family, trying to raise his children.
Yeah.
Trying to have some sort of personal integrity. I don't know what his belief system is. I don't know anything about him. It could all be a front, but usually those things tend to come out after a while.
Yeah.
And he's been pretty solid.
That is true. I'm generally a hater of LeBron.
Well,
I just think he's a baby. But you are right. Like there's been no like drug thing come out on LeBron or
and there's,
affairs.
that's right. And there are entertainers and athletes that I don't personally like. Like I probably wouldn't want to go have lunch with them or something.
Yeah,
That's just not my vibe, but,
Yeah.
but they're so amazing that you have to, how do you not have respect and admiration for somebody who now owns the NBA record?
Oh yeah,
For
yeah. I know.
points scored.
Well, it is kind of speaks volumes to me too. Like when I see a athlete or entertainer, and I'm just reading about them, and then they've been married for like 36 years, automatically I'm like, hey. Now I don't know how long he's been married, but I can't remember who I was looking at the other day. It was like an actor or something. Been married for like 36 years. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's
Good job.
that's impressive.
Yeah. Kudos.
Yeah.
There you go. Of course, the biggest news was the whole Russian-Ukraine conflict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
in Israel,
still-
Hamas.
Yes.
Our grain prices would drop $1 every day and go up $1, and it was crazy. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And it's still nuts. I actually just saw tonight they bombed Ukraine. Apparently had an effective bombing on like one of their big warships that Russia had, and it.
Wow.
Well, I tell you, what's scary and encouraging at the same time is ever since the Russia-Ukraine thing started, all the way up to Israel, Hamas, the news headlines always, one more step closer to World War III.
Yeah.
I know.
So that tells me that we're on edge for war, but it also tells me that we were pretty far gone back if we'd taken that many
it's
steps.
taken that many
you know what I mean?
steps.
So there's a little encouragement in there.
Yeah.
Well, and then you think about remember the balloon? The
Oh, the
balloon?
Yeah, the
Chinese,
Chinese
spy
spy
balloon.
balloon,
Man, where is that these days?
Yeah,
I haven't
I know.
heard anything about that
How
in a
did
long
that
time.
even happen? How is that even a thing?
I don't even know.
Didn't they get mad that it got shot down?
Yeah, they
think
got
so.
mad. And the official word was there is definitely no intelligence material
Oh, yeah.
on this balloon. Of
course.
What does that tell you?
I believe that. Yeah.
We definitely didn't not find anything that wasn't what it wasn't supposed to be.
Are you saying they wouldn't tell us the truth?
Well, you remember our aliens episode, right?
That's very,
I mean, come on, man.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, another shooting at a synagogue. There was the shooting of the Asian people. Oh my gosh. It's
a lot of shootings.
It's just crazy. So, anything else, like super, see, I kind of feel like 2023 is a little bit, other than, I mean, obviously war is a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. Unsettling to the world, all this kind of stuff. But other than that, it was just kind of a blah year.
Yeah. For America, I think most of the focus has been on politics and not even necessarily like groundbreaking politics. It's just let's bicker back and forth.
Yeah.
I know.
It was kind of that you're just annoyed with the news.
Yeah. Well, it's this, I feel like honestly it was the same news every day.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like I've heard it. I heard it yesterday, heard it last week, heard it last month. Yeah. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll be honest. Like, I wouldn't have known that about the airstrike or whatever had I not just seen it when I just, for some reason, decided to randomly check the news. Because, to be honest with you, I have almost checked out. I hate to say it, but yet, I've almost checked out on the Russian-Ukraine thing at this point. I'm like, which I think we talked about. It might have been us talking about it before, like, should we really know what's going on across the globe?
No, I'm not going to worry about things that I can't change.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to import stress.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because there are people that are like, I guarantee you there's people that are stressed to the max right now just worrying about this Russian-Ukraine thing.
I know. Oh, and there are people that are closer to the situation and
for sure.
You know, the closer you are, the more invested you are in it. It is a big deal. I think if we were, let's put it this way. What is your kind of feel? Like we said, every year has kind of a personality to it. Mm-hmm. If you were to kind of, give some descriptive words about the personality of 2023, what would it be?
2023 to me, I would almost say it's like the gray man. Like it's just kind of that year. It's a filler, it's kind of like a filler year. It's kind of more what I'd say. And when I say the gray man, it's because there was some pretty prominent things that happened, like with this war. Yeah. And there's been other things that happened that are pretty major things.
Well, do you remember that there was the second biggest bank collapse?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
That bank out in California.
Well, and I guess that's kind of why I would say the gray man, because the gray man, he kind of blends in, but he creates chaos, or he's like
the word that come to my mind thinking of what 2023 was
dinosaurs.
No,
yes, for sure.
was
ambiguity.
No, it's mediocre.
Yeah,
it's just a mediocre year. It wasn't like extremely great. It wasn't extremely bad. It was it was just
It feels to me like most of the news was negative news.
Yes.
Wildfire here, a wildfire there. They had them in Canada. It's just like we dealt with that terrible supply chain issue, and we're actually probably fixing to deal with it again because of the war situations. And, and we've got, honestly, here's my take. 2023 was like an episode of Dr. Pimple Popper.
It's gross, but you keep watching it.
I was going to say, you can't look away.
There's some tension, you know, that something's about to, kind of explode.
Okay. That's a great way of putting it, because, and I think we had talked about before this film that's coming out next year called Civil War.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a kind of a tinfoil hat guy myself anyways, but I am kind of the guy that's on the fence, like what is happening? Because America is at a weird, I feel like we are at a very weird tension spot. It's kind of like when I push trees into a push-up pile with a bulldozer, and my dad always told me, he's like, you got to watch them because they start building a lot of tension, and you'll have one break and it can come back and hit you. And you can hear them when you push into it. You'll hear them creaking, and that's the one, like, they can snap and they'll kill you. And so that's where I'm like, is America, are we pushing into that pile right now? Because, and I feel like a lot of people think that, which again, we see a lot of news and it'll say we could have basically a global, what do they call it? Like not a collapse of the grid kind of thing. You see this, like the grid is so overloaded.
Yep.
I've seen a thing where it said like a solar flare from the sun could create like a 30-day off-grid thing, which to me, I'm kind of like, maybe that might not be too bad. But I'm kind of with you. I feel like there is some weird, which it is also, unfortunately, we're moving into the election year.
I know.
And so that's always going to create some awkward tension, I feel like.
Hollywood has proven this year that your stress and nostalgia is very profitable. Because what's like the biggest movie of the year was the Barbie movie.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And everyone loved it. But in the whole of film, this was the year of horror. Like horror movies were coming out left and right. The new Exorcist, Five Nights at Freddy's. I mean,
It was
The
a
Nun
lot of
2.
horror
It
movies.
was just it was a year of horror.
What was the movie came out at the same time as Barbie about the
Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Yeah.
That's tension filled.
That definitely
And so
is.
Hollywood figured out if we can stress you out or make you remember your childhood,
Oh yeah.
we'll get your money.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts the other day called Rebuilders.
Okay.
And
It's a carpentry podcast.
yeah, that's right. HGTV.
Yeah.
There's this pastor that I tell you about every now and then. His name is Mark Sayers. He's Australian, and he's kind of a futurist.
Yeah.
Okay, so they put out a podcast every couple of weeks, and this past podcast was he does one every year. It's like the major trends that are coming up.
Yeah.
It's almost like forecasting a little bit.
Right.
So he says, and he's very confident about this, that we are at the end of one era and at the very beginning of the next era.
Okay.
But when you're at the beginning of an era, you don't know what to call it because it hasn't taken shape yet.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we are definitely at the end of one. And this is a very pivotal time, he says, because we have the Russian-Ukraine war here. We have Israel-Hamas here. We now have, of course, we're revisiting the tension between mainland China and Taiwan.
Yeah.
And we've got this stuff breaking out in South America.
Yeah.
So it's possible that our attention as a nation might be divided 4 ways.
Yeah. Man.
That is,
Too much.
like something's about to pop.
Yeah.
Yep.
There. And yet we can't not be invested in some way.
Well, we're too connected digitally
Absolutely.
these days. And did you see what was going on in Europe? I think it's in Europe where did you see what the farmers were doing there?
What?
Apparently there's been some like crazy tax imposed on them, and they've been dumping like trailer loads of manure on the highways, blocking off the traffic.
About that. Yeah.
And see that's where more and more I think, because that is something, and I'm just thinking more and more about what you're saying, but the amount of chaos that seems to be ensuing worldwide, like it's
I
not.
did not know this was a thing.
Yes, it's kind of from my perspective, because they're taxing them more, and they're like, now, and I'm like, all right, on man, I'm with you.
I just found my next Google rabbit hole. Thanks, man.
Yes.
But the other thing that he said is that we've been in sort of an age of anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of talk about younger people these days, and the level of anxiety is higher and it's more prevalent than it's ever been before in history.
Sure.
And that is very, very true.
Yep.
And why would they not be filled with anxiety? I mean, what they've been through in their, especially the younger people, in their formative years with the pandemic and political unrest and just one blow after another.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
And so they're a little bit tender right now.
Yeah.
Understandably.
They did
so.
not have the pleasant 90s.
No. Oh my gosh.
That's what might be foreshadowing when we were talking about our predictions later in the show. It's going to have to do with the 90s.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, are y'all hot? Do y'all need to turn the heat off?
I'm good for
okay.
now.
I was going to say, I'm good if y'all are. I just wanted to check.
I'm good. So what he says is there is a natural progression here, especially as the younger people get older.
Yeah.
and they sort of move into mainstream, which is what's happening right now with Gen Z. And then, of course, there's Alpha coming right behind them.
Alpha is the next one coming up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Man.
That's what our kids are, man.
They're starting
Really?
over.
Yep.
Generation
What
A.
a cool name they got.
They're the alphas.
That's awesome.
I'm on the dividing line between the boomers and the Gen Xers.
Claim X, man.
Yeah, claim X.
I absolutely will.
It's like you're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
You ain't a boomer.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're right about that.
Me and Pat are millennials.
Yeah, we Gen Xers are very resilient people because the world's jacked up.
Yes.
Anyway, so he says that we're moving from an age of anxiety into an age of anger,
I see it.
and I think he's right
I do too.
because you can only stay in anxiety for so long.
For
Yeah.
there's a reaction.
If you don't give into it and melt down, then you rise up against it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he says that, and I believe this. If you look back over the last, say, 2 decades, okay, it's the last 20 years, you think about the presidents that we've had, the other political regimes that have risen and fallen in other major countries.
Mm-hmm.
There's been this sort of promise that was made. Stick with us. You'll have safety. You'll have security.
Yeah.
There's this utopian sort of world coming where everybody's going to care for one another and everybody's going to prosper and we're all going to, just follow our system.
Then the SpongeBob voice comes on. It's like 20 years later.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, man, I mean, that's kind of, but I think that people, we've gotten through this terrible period of anxiety, and now people are, it's like everything's coming into focus a little
Yep.
bit, and they're going, you know what? The promises that I was made,
Did not come true.
and they're not going to.
That's
Yeah.
right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Where's the life I was promised?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you look ahead into the next couple of decades, and there's no hope for that.
Yeah.
For that. And so they're angry.
Well, the saying, and I feel like it gets used so much I hate to use it, but I'm curious then y'all's thoughts on where we are in this saying. And it's what's the old saying? Hard times create strong men create good times. Good times create weak men create hard times.
Yep.
And the cycle is just recurrent. So where would you say we are in the cycle? I feel like we've been in good times.
For sure.
So are we at this point the good times, and now we've created the weak, and now it's getting hard?
Think about this, though. We have been weakened.
Yeah.
I mean, our just across the board, economically, politically, and here's the interesting thing about it too is we've moved from, we've moved into a networked global society.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we say, oh, that's really great because now we can make transactions in a second with people in countries across the globe.
Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful? And our communication level is so great and all this stuff. But the problem is, whatever happens on this end of the globe
Affects us.
It has ripple effects
Yep.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So there are consequences to all of the good stuff that we
And see, this
enjoy.
is why I predict it's going to be a very 90s feeling movement that we're coming into. The 90s was full of angst. It was full of the anti-establishment. It was very much a rebellion.
The rage against the machine.
And I think that's what we're coming into. When you look at the music scene, the movie scene, even the culture right now, it's very 90s vibe. Like that's the way it's leading into.
Well, and it feels like there is just kind of something sinister below the surface.
It does. Yes, it does.
Do you remember what happened also this last year with Loeb? You remember Loeb?
Loeb.
What was Loeb?
It was an AI thing.
Was this where it started kind of thinking on its own?
Yeah. Well, what happened was this woman, I think it was a woman, gave a prompt to AI, something about making an image of Marlon Brando, and the AI came back like I can't really do that because this, that, and the other. So anyway, she gave it the reverse prompt to make it not look like, I don't know exactly how it went. Anyway, the AI came up with its own image, and it was this image of a woman, and this woman was grotesque. And they say, if you don't have a strong stomach,
Oh, you told us about this.
don't go down this rabbit hole. Yeah.
Oh man, now I gotta
Because
look.
it became very dark and very just like.
Did you go down the
detestable.
rabbit hole?
I did not. I don't have,
curiosity is
Yeah,
getting to me.
Now
Yeah.
I want to.
And Pat's a horror guy, so he's
Yeah.
really
and
itching.
I think it's spelled Loab or Loabe. I can't remember which it is. It's
As
an
we
odd
both
spelling.
reach for our phone.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a note on Google.
yeah.
Uh,
But so kind of the all of these advances we're making and all of the the great things, and it just feels like there's something
Yeah.
underneath the surface that is not quite right.
is that you talking about this
This one.
kind of? Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
that's
the woman. Oh, does it get progressively worse?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Gotcha. It says, an unimaginable, a journey inside our future. Meet Loeb.
Yes.
I don't even like how this website's laying it out. I feel
I
like
know.
I'm like
It's weird.
like opening the thing. Yeah.
So
Wow.
it just generally feels like there's a lobe somewhere, behind every corner. But so we're talking about this age of anger, and I'm not talking about everybody's going to go around with road rage.
Right.
It's just a general,
Angst.
I'm upset that I was disillusioned and I was lied to. That's kind of the thing.
Yep.
Interesting thing about this is, and I'm going to ask you guys about this in a second, but when we think of this in terms of the spiritual side of things and the church side of things, and perhaps the way that God would move in this kind of situation, when you think about it, we're really in kind of a perfect spot.
Absolutely.
Because when you have been disillusioned by everything, oftentimes when you're presented with an opportunity that you previously dismissed, which is, like my friend Larry Norman used to say, why don't you look into Jesus? He's got the answer.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of thinking in those terms. And what I want to ask you guys is, as we're prognosticating a little bit, you look back in history at these great awakenings.
Yeah.
It's first Great Awakening, second Great Awakening, and then you see the Irish, the Belfast revival. You see the Welsh revival. You see all these different kinds of things. Now, this one of the things that happened this year was the Asbury revival.
I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, and it lasted for several months. It was a big deal.
Is that the one in Kentucky? That ain't the one. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Asbury University. So, do you think that we might be on the cusp of another Great Awakening? Do you think that could happen in our lifetime?
Yes. And I'll tell you why. As I believe the church is waking up to the failures of the past. I believe the church is understanding now that you don't rank your members before they come through the door. You accept who comes through your door and you treat them like the church, knowing that most people who walk through the door of the church have previous church hurt.
Yeah.
And I believe when we handle that properly, we build a family. And I believe when we build the family, people will want to be at church, not feel like they need to be at church. They will want to be at church. And I honestly think that out of all this darkness that's going on, this is a rare opportunity we have to be a bright spot.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
The pressure really is on us.
Logan, what would a Great Awakening look like in our day?
Man, I don't know. I feel like when I think why would somebody turn that's been dismissive initially, honestly, I feel like the consistency of the church would be part of the weapon, a good weapon. And that's because I feel like, and we've talked about it before, we basically live in a world where it's like, well, what is your truth? What is my truth? Like, truth is objective. And it's like, but in reality, truth is not objective. Truth is truth. And like, what is one thing that has been, let me take a step back. If it's been true to the word, what is one thing that's been true? And that is the church. A godly church has been true and it has been consistent. So I feel like when you're just everything is nothing. I feel like this doesn't make sense what I'm describing, but everything is nothing today. So what is the one thing that is something? And I feel like it's the truth of the church. So that to me would be the Great Awakening. And I feel like man, the pendulum it swings, and it can only swing so far before it has to swing back. And like either what I would say is either we're going to experience a great awakening or something's going to break. Like that's just how I feel like it's got to be. Maybe I'm more of like
maybe both things will happen at the same time though.
It may break and cause the great awakening.
Yeah, the world may continue to fracture.
Yeah.
And then but here's one of the problems, I think, and I think both of you make really good points. You talk about church hurt, you talk about, stuff. I feel like that we have over the last 30 years kind of messed up the church.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the church has handled itself well.
I agree.
I think on one hand, it's been way too exclusive and judgmental. And that's kind of if you talk to an unchurched person today who has no church context in their background.
Yeah, I think you got to be perfect or something.
Yeah, that would be, that is the thing that they say first.
Yeah.
Is that it's just full of judgmental people and they're bigoted.
Hypocrites.
And they're homophobic and, all this stuff.
And I would say that there's some credence there.
Completely.
I would say,
I've experienced the same thing.
Yep,
and I'm very church sympathetic.
Exactly.
I'll go to church anywhere.
Yep.
And I've experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, it's just almost like polar opposites. It's been, like super inclusive.
Yeah.
Which on the front end kind of feels like it should be good. Like I can be anything. I can be in any lifestyle. And they're going to accept me. But the problem is that it's acceptance without any kind of challenge or motivation or
accountability to the word.
Well, and I mean, there's no life change necessary, no transformation, and it doesn't matter. I mean, you can say this is right and this is wrong and all this. Honestly, everybody needs a life change. Everybody needs a transformation. Needs growth. But if you're going to grow, you have to have something to grow with and grow against. So there has to be some sort of infrastructure. Then when you take away the infrastructure, which is basically taking away truth or reinterpreting what truth means, then it's very unsatisfying. And so on the one hand, you've got this judgmental thing. On the other hand, you've got this acceptance with no substance.
Yeah. What's funny is you and we've talked a lot about the mega church, the way the mega church is structured. And I think the pendulum, if you will, on the other side of that is the small town, 100 member or less church. That's very inclusive, if you're not like us, you're not welcome.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's the two extremes. And it's about time for that pendulum just to fall in the middle.
Well, it's time for God to reveal the way, the way for our times and for the people that we are called to minister to.
I heard Robert Morris say this, and I will hold on to this forever. Jesus was all about people. If we're not all about people, we're not all about Jesus.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And yes, we have to get people in the door, but that's to give them the truth.
These days, though, I think that we don't necessarily have to start by getting them in the door.
Right.
We have to go to them in their own context.
Right.
Yeah.
And that means that, with all the tools that we have available to us right now.
Podcasting.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, and that's where I say, like I was trying to think, it's a hard way to describe it, but when I think of a church that's truly biblical and sharing the truth, that's what we need, because that's what people, one, that, like I said, it's welcoming, but it also they honor God's word and the commandments and like these things. I mean, and again, but they're not at this. I'm not talking about what's the crazy church. I'm fine with saying their name that went so nuts and was like condemning the soldier
Westboro
Dude,
Baptist.
They ain't helping nobody.
Is that Fred Phillips?
Yeah, man, that's nuts. Like, and I mean, how is that inviting people in? Like, so
it's not.
That's what we don't need. We need the churches that, yes, this is what we believe. This is what the Bible says. This is God's word. But we want you here.
The church almost refuses to interact with the world.
Yeah.
I'm not saying go out and become the world. I'm not saying go out and let the world minister to you. And I'm not saying go out and preach to the world. I'm saying we have to interact with the world, because if the world views us as these holier than thou, stuck up in the church, we have to come to them to get judged when we walk in the door. There's never going to be a change.
Well, Jesus hung out with some rowdy folks, man. That's what I always said.
It's very true. I think the most important thing, it's very interesting because I was listening to the Bible Project podcast last night, and they did their year-end wrap-up thing.
Yeah.
And they were throwing out some statistics that were mind-boggling. Of course, they have, as far as subscribers / followers, I mean, it's like 8 million. It's ridiculous.
Huge.
It's around the world. Okay.
That's awesome.
Their podcast gets about 1 million downloads every week.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is so interesting because they also now have an app, and on the app they have something called Classroom.
Okay.
You can actually take seminary level classes. You don't get credit for them, but you can actually go through. There's lectures, there's assignments, there's all this stuff.
That's awesome.
And they have like 80,000 people who have done this.
Wow.
And so what does all this tell you? Okay, so you can say as the church, we should be less judgmental. We should be more faithful to the truth and the word of God, everything. Honestly, I believe this so very much that the best thing, I always said, the best way to do this is to be better Christians.
How do you be a better Christian though?
But honestly, there is a hunger to know what the Bible really says.
Bam.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, if we really study the Bible the way and read it the way we ought to read it,
Yeah.
we will never be able to be proud. We will never be able to make assumptions about people. We will never be able to judge other people because the word is judging us if we read it correctly.
Yeah.
Correct.
And I'm not, I love encouraging people to do a quiet time or to sit down with a journal or to spend some time in prayer.
You need community too.
Thing is, your little daily devotion, it's like a little piece of candy. It's good. It's I'm not saying don't do that.
Yeah.
But that's not teaching you to read the Bible the way that it ought to be read.
Yeah.
And I think that the best thing we could do is be in community and really drill down. And I think as we expose the truth that's in the Bible, and just like what we're doing on this podcast, kind of getting down beneath the surface,
Yeah.
challenging some of the presuppositions that we've had and the kind of traditions and the way that we've heard Scripture. The more we find out about this stuff, just honestly, the more compassionate we are and the less proud we are, and all this stuff. The Bible Project is doing a year-long series on the Sermon on the Mount. They're going to spend a year on 3 chapters of the Bible. Yeah. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. I've got a challenge for our church and everything I'm going to roll out here in the next week. But this is obviously the Sermon on the Mount is the quintessential Jesus teaching. If you want to know what Jesus is all about and what's in his brain, it just, really study the Sermon on the Mount. In fact, there's some people that I've heard lately say, everybody complaining about, why you want to take the 10 Commandments off the wall. It's like, no, take the 10 Commandments down and put the Sermon on the Mount up. And that would be a little more challenging probably.
From a teaching standpoint, I can honestly say the most pivotal lessons I have taught have been the things that I've learned
completely
that were learned wrong.
Completely.
When I had to go back and realize I learned this wrong for so long.
Yeah.
Then when you teach it, other people are like, I thought that was the other way.
Dude,
they was right there. Like everyone learns things the wrong way because it just flows through tradition and it becomes a one-off thing.
When we started this podcast, the Genesis, that stuff just blew my mind because it's like, man, I've never learned this.
And it's right there. It's been sitting there the whole time.
Yeah.
But did you not feel like you had to go tell 1 million people what you just learned?
Oh yeah, then I'm pumped to tell people about the Elohim and the Nephilim. I got to talk about all these weird words that I now know.
I'm telling you, it is contagious when you start uncovering the word for what it really is.
Yeah.
When you start breaking it down and getting to it, and that's when you get to have these geek out sessions. You're like, did you know this?
Yeah.
And then Peter will be like, well, what about Daniel? And I'm like, whoa, I totally missed that. You know what? Get over it.
When y'all are talking about community, this made me think about something else. So you talk about the tension that's building this year. And we get in there and we mention maybe these possibilities, some of this crazy meltdown stuff happening. What would be better than having a community that you already are in? Let's say the grid did melt down and man, you got would you rather be the lone guy that doesn't have anybody? You're not involved. Like if you're in a church, man, there's 100 people or more there that you can still, like, I feel like there's a part of me, and this is maybe this is crazy to think, but there's a part of me that thinks, how neat would it be if, let's say, the power grid was gone? And I realize chaos would ensue, but how neat would it be to still have church on Sunday?
Absolutely.
And have a candlelit thing? Like,
look,
that would be so cool.
Absolutely.
It's going to take me a couple weeks to get people to come around me because I've always joked, I was like, apocalyptic scenario, I'm going to be warlord of Tennessee.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be my place.
Hey, well, we better team up because I'm kind of right there with you.
And I say this strictly joking, but for real, if something were to happen, I'm still going to be right up there with my people every Sunday doing my thing.
I've always said, when the grid breaks and the apocalypse comes, I'm going to Logan's house.
I was going to say, I was reaching for my knife right here.
He's got eggs, he's got meat and weapons.
Yes.
Those are the things.
I'm going to need some people to help guard these cows out here. All right.
Absolutely. Now, it's very interesting though, because when you put all this together, and we are no prognosticators, you can kind of sort of discern some trends.
We're gauging the temperature right now.
Yeah. But I feel like we have an incredible opportunity, and we have an opportunity to kind of imagine church a little bit differently, to dig into Scripture a little more faithfully.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. It's like, how did that change our perspective on Christmas by learning all the things that we did wrong, that we got wrong?
Yeah.
It really makes it more meaningful to understand that, that it wasn't this, little pristine thing with the camels and the wise men and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, I think that it is faithfulness that in all those ways, faithfulness to love people, faithfulness to accept people, faithfulness to really understand and understand how to read our Bibles correctly and what it really says. And that, I think that's a good combination.
One of the first conversations you and I ever had, we went out to lunch.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there talking, and you told me flat out that you wanted a church that had an orthodox view of Scripture.
Yes.
What it really said from a compassionate standpoint with a modern sounding worship vibe.
Yeah.
And you made it very clear to me before I even played the first note with Holly Grove or anything, before I was a member for anything, you made it very clear that you want to figure out and teach what the Bible really says.
Right.
We're going to hold that truth because it's the truth, regardless of us.
Yeah.
We're going to hold to the truth, and we're going to worship, and we're going to do it from compassion.
Yes.
And I think the Lord gave you that specifically for me as I was going through church hurt at that time.
Yeah.
But I also think that the Lord gave you that because I'm not the only person who went through that.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only person who is moved by worship. I'm not the only person who is hungry for truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the Lord's given this very specific, and I can guarantee you, Holly Grove is not the only church that's doing this.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? This is
We just do it better than everybody else. Yeah.
this is a national, global level thing that's happening.
I think it's what God is doing in the church, and that's and it's like you don't have to necessarily pray, God, come and do something here. God's calling us to go and swim in His river.
That's right.
And be.
And I feel like you either got to get in the boat or get out. Like there's just at this point, man.
But I believe that, and I'm not the only one that says this, but I believe that there is a day of reckoning for the church, a purification. Let's get honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And
well, would you say that we are starting to see the people we never thought would walk away from church? Walk away. And then I can attest to this. People that are coming to the church that I never
thought.
Yes.
Because, years ago, I was one of those people. And the Lord's still doing that today, bringing people I never thought would come to the church.
Right.
There is people that I've seen leave the church that I'm like, man, what happened?
Yeah.
And
they were like a cornerstone of the church. Where'd they go?
We're seeing this weird mix-up right now. I say mix-up, this weird dynamic change.
Yeah.
But this is we're going to talk about this this coming Sunday, because this is like December 31st.
I'm gonna have to live stream it, man.
December 31st. It's like what is your New Year's resolution? Stuff. We're going to get into that in just a second. But the question that people, that especially younger people, but people outside the church, people who are just kind of looking sort of maybe longingly, maybe suspiciously, almost like, a scared puppy kind of thing.
Yeah.
The question that they're asking is not the question they used to ask, which is Christianity true? They don't care about that so much at this moment.
Yeah.
What they want to know is Christianity good? Is it good?
Yep.
Or is it dangerous? Am I going to be in a safe place? Is this community safe for me?
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it something that I can, embrace? That's, feel like that it's doing some good in the world.
Yeah.
Kind of the general consensus right now is that sharing your religious beliefs with somebody else is damaging.
Yeah.
Like that, you don't want to put that on somebody else.
Yeah.
But what I'm talking about is more of an invitation. Come do community with us, and just come. And yes, it's safe. Yes, it's good.
Yeah.
And so we start there, and so that requires that we are not judgmental, and that we are inviting and welcoming, and that we are compassionate, and we are sensitive to people's situations and people's needs, which means that we have to, re-examine our cliches, our Christian language, our, kind of some of our traditions, things like that. And the thing that I love about what I get to do is I get to kind of be in all the worlds at the same time. We have our 8:30 service where, I could sing my favorite hymns and we can really enjoy that. And then we flip right over to the 11 o'clock service where we can, let loose a little bit and have a little more boisterous.
That's when we bring the snakes out, do some backflips down the house.
I got this picture Christmas morning. All right. It's Alan. I'm showing the picture you sent. It's my buddy Alan Shank.
I love it.
He had asked me, he said, what's a good Bible to study? Yeah. And I told him, I said, I'm an advocate of the NASB 95.
Yeah.
And so he ordered one and he got it Christmas morning.
All right.
And
awesome.
like, that's what I wake up to Christmas morning is him like, look, it came, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like that's just a good feeling.
That is cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm putting them together a goodie box. The book we just did on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Theology intro,
the basics.
Yeah, I'm
Is
sitting.
he going to listen to the British guy talk?
No, I hope not, because I couldn't. There's free videos with it. By the way.
It's a weird way of talking, but
he's one of those. It reminds me how I was when I first got saved. He's hungry. He wants to learn.
Yes.
Not what the tradition says, but he wants to get to the truth of it. And we've talked about this with young people, that the younger people today, they want to take apart the gospel. They want to understand it. They want to put hands on it.
Yeah.
They want to, understand, not just memorize verses.
Yeah.
They want to get in it. They want to dismantle it.
It is they're hungry for, they're hungry. They're just hungry for something.
But the thing is, in order to read the Bible and understand it correctly, to even to get to a starting point, you cannot read it through a Western viewpoint, a modern Western
or
viewpoint.
I was going to say, or from a
context.
21st century point of view.
Yeah.
No, you like my best friend used to say, you have to let the first century Christian live inside your head.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the ancient Jew in ancient Mesopotamian and Jewish cultures, you have to let that person live inside your head, and you have to filter let them tell you what this really means and how they would have received that. Okay, so we've done a little prognosticating about the church. We think there might be a great awakening coming. That's really good. So now we got two more things to do, and one is I want to know if you guys are resolution guys.
I'm not.
You resolve not to resolve.
Yes.
Okay.
What resolve means to solve again.
That's it.
And I like to think I figured it out the first time.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's where you need to make another resolution.
Maybe a dissolution.
That's right.
Yeah.
What about you, Logan?
Man, I kind of am. There's just something about it. I'm like, hey, I think, because it's something like 80-something% of them fail or some crazy
Within 8
statistic.
days. Yeah. That's right.
And I remember back whenever I was going to ATC, I always hated January and into February.
I know, because
So many people there.
It got so crowded, but I always knew, I was like, I'll still be here in March. They'll all be gone. And
Completely.
it typically was. But yeah, I like a New Year's resolution.
I like New Year's not for a resolution, and I like to be critical of myself. To look back at 2023 this year.
Yeah.
What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And, shift left, shift right, as I as I should.
Yeah.
You know, I like New Year's just because it's a new start.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I need new goals or new ambitions. I just need to just reevaluate.
Yeah. What about you?
I have been in the past big time resolution person, but I got very disillusioned by that because it made me feel anxious because it's like,
yes.
it's like I got to do this or I got to not do this, you know. And it's like I promised myself, you know. It's like it just wasn't a very productive way about it. But I do like to reevaluate. I think most people do at the end of a year,
for sure.
It's like just let's take some inventory.
Yeah.
You know? So I made a big. I had a very emotional day today because I made a big transition.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Big transition. I'm now the owner of an Apple Watch.
Oh man.
He left the Fitbit.
Well, here's the funny thing about it.
Did it transfer over?
No.
I knew you were getting that for Christmas, and I knew you were going to freak out about it.
Well, I wanted an Apple Watch. I've been wanting one for quite some time. But, you know, I have my Fitbit device, and I have like almost a 1,200 day streak.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Of, 10,000 steps a day, 10 flights of stairs, 5 miles.
Yeah.
You know, so that's over 3 years every day.
Yeah.
And so I was, really, kind of obsessive about that. But my Fitbit device started messing up. And so it wasn't calculating stairs correctly.
Oh.
Like I would get 279 flights of stairs in one day. You know,
Nice.
Wow, you were killing it, man.
Stair master.
Yeah.
And I looked all over the website and everything. There's no way there are workarounds, but there's no way to solve this. So if your device does that, you're going to need a new device.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. And Google bought Fitbit, and now Google's promoting their own watch, so they're not putting a lot of investment into Fitbit.
Gotcha.
And so it's like all this stuff. And so I got my Apple Watch, and yesterday I'm sitting with it, and I got it all set up, and I'm excited about it. But then it was time to go to the gym, and it's like,
Here we go.
I opened up my Fitbit app.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't leave this behind. I'm just so used to looking at it.
Yeah.
This is what I look at.
And then your Apple Watch tells you breathe.
I know. And so I try to open up the Apple Fitness app, and it's like, this is kind of the same, but it's not really the same. And I'm used to looking at all the graphics and the pictures and everything. I've been with this for so long. So you know what I did?
Put your Fitbit on.
I wore both of them.
So at the new year, are you going to nix the Fitbit?
I did today.
Okay.
That was my
that
big
was the emotional thing.
Yeah.
I
was
left
talking
it.
with Kaylee, and she was like, I don't know how he's going to handle it.
I know. I literally wore both. And I told myself, this is so I can compare the two. And that's exactly the way it worked out. It's like, can I live with this? Can I? And so I went through the whole night, so I could see how they track sleep and all this kind of stuff. So I had,
Were they relatively close?
Yeah, they were. So sometime around 2:00 this afternoon, I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, I cannot continue to wear two fitness watches. So
Dude,
this is
really,
You're
fit
really
freak,
into
man.
fitness, man.
really ridiculous. And so I asked my wife, and she said, well, I'll just take the Apple Watch back. And it's like, no, one. So I was like, okay, there's only one thing. And so boom, there went the Fitbits up on my dresser, and I'm not coming back to it. So that's as close to a New Year's resolution as I can get right now. Is I'm kind of turning the corner into sort of a new approach.
So you're going to have this on at all times now?
Yeah.
Be careful. Because now everyone knows you can't ignore their text.
Oh, no. That's yes, I can. I absolutely can.
He can because he was ignoring our group text.
No,
Pat.
he just wasn't awake yet.
No, I was awake. I didn't have anything meaningful to contribute to the conversation at that point.
Well, don't worry. Me and Logan are going to continue to talk in it regardless.
That's
We
exactly
will.
right.
We're
And,
chatterboxes.
I sort of wait for the gifts and the images to start, popping up.
Did
And
you
then-
appreciate the image of
I did.
Jesus?
I did.
Yeah, AI generated a pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got on there today. I was like, I guess I was thinking very revelation-y today. And I was like, you know what? I haven't tried. I always complain about there not being any cool images of Jesus coming down from heaven. Everybody has the Fabio type.
I know.
Well, the one I got don't look nothing like Fabio.
Yeah.
No,
Like
it looks-
he's coming down, man.
Meaning business.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Fire and everything else. But yeah, no, I get that. And actually, it's funny. I used to wear a Fitbit, and I bought a Garmin now that I wear, and I've got it charging right now, which I feel really weird without it on. But
I know.
But it was hard for me to retire the Fitbit. But my band had started even like kind of coming loose.
I know.
And I
went through probably 5 Fitbit watch bands.
Really?
I was going to say, I think it's a guy thing too, because I haven't worn a watch since the Army. Yeah. And I still, to this day, check an imaginary watch.
See, and I love I got this one, which this bracelet, it doesn't come off. Like it's like I'd have to bend the little thing. It's just on.
See, this is just a leather band.
Yeah.
But like, I look at it like it's
I would too.
Yeah, it's going to tell me like, hey, I'm just leather. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So anything resolution wise, any reevaluations you're doing, anything?
Yeah, I'm definitely doing reevaluations with my personal time with
good
with music. The way I study, I want to get more into a Greek study. Yeah. I mean, I'm already doing Greek study, but I'm realizing how useful it is.
Yeah.
So I want to focus more on that. But just like the music too, I want to focus more on my personal endeavors on it.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. I've got my bro goals in the gym that I want to hit. I think I've shared with y'all.
Yes. Impressive.
Well, if I get there, but then one of them would be some changes that I've kind of made on the farming operation just to see how that pans out, and hopefully in a good way. And actually, it's funny, not on the music side because I'm just a terrible musician, but I want to
play triangle for me.
Yeah, I'll play the cowbell. That's what I prefer. But I want to let those creative juices flow a little more. Awesome. Try to flex maybe some. I was laughing to them off air. I mean, again, typical. We did an hour and a half pre-show conversation,
we
but
did.
I was the nerd that enjoyed creative writing. So I just want to. I haven't written in so long. I want to get back doing a little bit of that.
It's cool. So it's not a pressure thing.
No.
It's just kind of a out there thing.
No, I'm not setting necessarily a goal as much as I need to let those juices flow a little bit.
You got to scratch a personal itch.
Yep.
So in the last little bit of time we have left.
Whoa, what's yours?
Yeah.
I already told you it's my.
It ain't the first yet. So that's 2023. You just now getting to it. What's your?
Yeah, you did that ahead of time.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to in 2024?
Honestly, 2024. I have some sort of on a couple of fronts. First of all, I want to drill down on nutrition as it relates to getting to the age that I'm at right now.
Yeah,
and so I want to do some studying there as to kind of. I mean, we all know certain things about nutrition, that home cooked food is always better than, food
absolutely
you get outside. But specifically, what's it going to, I'm dealing with blood pressure issues and, some things like that. Also how to support, the kind of the exercise routines that I'm in right now. So I want to do some work on nutrition.
Peter's been bodybuilding.
He's been pumping some iron. He really has.
I don't know if you could call it that.
Oh man, yeah. Me and Pat will get him on the protein and creatine here.
I've been moving it around. Yeah. Let's put it that way.
Peter's joining Team Meathead.
Yes.
So, but then on the other side of things, I really want to continue with this track of studying theology. I want to take some people through. I want to invest in some people who really want to go, down deep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we want to study some hermeneutics. I want to study, get into some, more intense bubiblical studies and things like that. So I want to kind of drill down in that area.
Gotcha.
I think those are my two focuses there. So, nutrition, bodily, nutrition, spiritually.
I see what you did there. Yeah, I like that.
And me and you are over here are just all selfish.
Yeah, we're just like, just bros.
Yeah.
No, it has a lot of good for me too, because honestly, I think one of my, it says in scripture that the job of a elder, bishop / pastor, whatever you want to call a spiritual leader, is to equip the saints for the good work of Christ.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just it's like something I'm bound to do. So that's good. Okay, we got just a few minutes left, and I knew this would be kind of a little bit of a heavy. Anytime you look back at such a weird year and look ahead to absolute uncertainty, it feels a little bit like doom and gloom.
Yeah,
I know it does, and that's okay. And by the way, we want to hear about your New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely.
Yes. Comment that below.
Yeah. But the great news is that we're not even done celebrating Christmas yet.
That's right.
Yeah, you've all heard about the 12 days of Christmas, right?
Yeah,
What the heck does that mean?
A partridge in a
I was going to say, I know the song.
Yeah. I mean, why do we even have it?
Why do we have that?
Okay. I'll tell you why.
Epiphany.
Yes, Epiphany. Now, this is something, honestly, Epiphany is a celebration of the Christian church that goes back before the celebration of Christmas.
Okay.
It is the oldest Christian celebration that there is.
Gotcha.
Now, this is January 6th.
January 6th, yes.
Okay.
So if you start on December 25th, go to January 6th, you
12
get
days.
12 days of Christmas.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So we're supposed to continue to celebrate Christmas. And in fact, in some traditions in Western Europe, and well, actually even Eastern Europe, and some of the Greek Orthodox and all this stuff, they actually have programmed out 12 different things that you're supposed to do in 12 different days.
That's kind of cool.
It's really cool.
So for the listeners and myself, what is Epiphany?
I will tell you what Epiphany is because it's the coolest thing ever. Honestly, I'm really thinking about bringing it back or bringing it to our community.
I'm bringing Epiphany back.
Yes, but I think it's something that we would really enjoy.
Yeah.
I really do because honestly,
Well,
what
my
it is.
curiosity is piqued.
Oh, okay. So Epiphany, there's this space of time between the birth of Christ and this day of Epiphany.
Okay.
Now, if you think about Christmas Day, the birth of Christ, you remember that out in the fields there were shepherds, watching their flocks by night, right?
Yep.
Here comes the angel. Here comes all the angels, and in the first angel tells them, this, I've got good news for you, tidings of great joy, which will be to all the people.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought that meant, well, God's going to bring all the nations together again. But actually, it's a very exclusive term to all the Jewish people. That's exactly what that means.
Yeah.
I did not know that until I dug into it.
Yeah, I always just assumed that was all the people.
So, my bad. But but it meant to all of God's chosen people.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Christmas Day is a very Jewish thing because here's their Messiah coming to them.
Gotcha.
Okay. So, but then we see, a year or two pass. Here come the Magi, the wise men. They are not Jewish, but they come to worship the Jewish Messiah.
Right.
Okay. So then we also see then later on, when Jesus is about 30 years old, he is John the Baptist, and Jesus insists that John the Baptist baptize him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward even further. Jesus dies, is resurrected, ascends to heaven. Then you see the apostolic era in the church.
Right.
Now we see that it goes out not just to Jewish people, it's for all the nations,
world.
for the Gentiles. Okay, so Christmas Day is distinctly Jewish. Epiphany is a celebration of Jesus being shared with the world.
Oh, so it's like the Gentiles
It is.
holiday.
That's exactly what it is.
So if Jesus' real birthday is September 11th,
Yeah, well,
would Epiphany be September 23rd?
something like
I mean,
whatever, 12 days.
If you aren't a pagan, then yes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
So our pagan Epiphany is January 6th.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing. So it's a celebration of the Magi.
Okay.
And it's an observation or a remembrance of the baptism of Jesus. And it's in recognition of his manifestation as the Son of God to the world.
Gotcha. Yeah, like I say, man, it's the Gentiles
Yeah,
holiday,
It's an
man.
extended, sometimes known as Three Kings Day or 12th Day. It is literally the 12 days of Christmas. Okay, so they do these cool things.
What would be the Three Kings?
We three kings, man.
What?
Three Kings Day.
Yeah, the Magi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Only there weren't three.
Okay.
But,
Well, I was thinking Father, Son, Holy Ghost, but
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in just a minute.
I was just it was number 3. I had to know.
Okay, so so this is the cool thing is in other cultures, especially Greek culture, there are certain things that you do. Now, 12th day is the night. It starts the night before.
Okay.
And there's like a big feast. It's like
Yeah.
a huge feast, and then they'll sometimes just stay up all night long, and then they'll make their way over to the church to celebrate Epiphany.
Party
Oh
hard.
man, this sounds awesome.
I know. So here's the coolest part of it, though. On 12th day, large numbers of high school students will skip school each year on Epiphany to see many of their classmates, young men aged 16 to 18, dive into the chilly waters to retrieve a cross.
This is cool, man.
I
I'm
know.
in.
So it's like the polar bear plunge.
Yes, it is. But what happens is they have a blessing of the waters, and then they throw this ornate cross as far as they can throw it. And then all these guys dive in and they go retrieve the cross. Diving for the cross. That's what it's called.
So is there like a specific lake or something they throw this into?
Every community kind of has a particular designated
Gotcha.
spot.
What if they don't find it?
I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure they always find it.
I'd say that'd be a bummer.
You're all going to hell.
Yeah.
So the one young man who has the honor of recovering the crucifix receives a traditional full year's blessing from the church, not to
Man.
mention a good deal of fame in the community.
Nice.
That is awesome.
That is awesome.
Uh-huh. And so there's other kind of little traditions that sometimes people will give their gifts on Christmas and save 1 or 3, depending on how much emphasis you put on the wise men and 3 gifts, save it for Epiphany. So you get to have gifts twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's some other things which I think are really cool. That sometimes they'll have a blessing of your home. You know, in Catholic traditions and Anglican traditions, the priest will come and do a blessing on your home,
Yeah.
and your household, and all these different kinds of things. There's a stuff that, well, I'm not even going to get into that. It gets down. It gets a little just.
I think on January 6th, we need to throw a cross or some water somewhere and us
We might
3
need to.
jump in.
There's a pond right back out there.
That's what I was sitting
I
here
know.
thinking. The pond behind the church. I think we
yeah.
need to do that.
Hey, Opal
That
will
would
go
be
get
fun.
it. Opal will retrieve the cross. But then, you know, the elf on a shelf thing? You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God Christmas came because it's gone.
Well, and I was going to say, thank God in my house, we just don't have
We
it.
don't do that either. Never
Yeah.
have. But they do it like a version of elf on a shelf, only with the Magi.
Do they have a little magi guy?
Well, they have the 3 kings, okay?
Okay.
But instead of putting them with the nativity scene, they put them in a separate room across the house, and every day they move them one step closer
Oh,
to the
man.
nativity scene, so that by Epiphany,
They're there.
now
They've
you have-
arrived.
Uh-huh. See?
Theologically.
Isn't
They
that a
came
cool
from
thing?
afar.
Yeah. And then there's this stuff called King's Cake. Have you ever heard of King's Cake?
I've had that from New Orleans.
Yeah.
It
And
sounds delicious.
it
got a
actually
baby in it.
yeah, that's it. They put baby Jesus in a cake.
Yeah. It has a little baby in it.
I'm not sure I like that.
Yes.
But it originated with Epiphany.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Is that
the
where
deal.
the New Orleans one got there?
Yes. That's,
Really?
It's the whole tradition.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Because don't you are like the man if you get the slice with the baby.
That's exactly right.
Because there's a little baby in
Uh-huh.
there. Yeah.
I know.
So that's what they do down in New Orleans.
Yes. Yeah.
Or you could celebrate 12th night, and that's the big feast. And,
Okay.
and you're supposed to have 12 courses, including partridge in a
Golly.
pear tree pie.
12 courses?
Yeah.
That's a feast.
Partridge in a pear tree pie?
Yep. So that's Epiphany, and we're all supposed to continue to celebrate Christmas all the way until January 6th. So,
I'm sold.
So January 6th this year is Saturday.
That's
isn't
even
that
better.
nice?
So should we throw a shindig at the church all the way until
We
Sunday
could.
morning?
Why don't we?
We could
All night.
stay up all night.
That's my normal hours anyway.
Don't they call that a lock-in?
Yeah.
I like it. We used to do those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm in on Epiphany.
So then that leads us to, okay, so now we have the song, the 12 Days of Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to finish with the 12 Days of Christmas. Okay, so let me find my papers again. I got
You were folding up early.
I was. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay, yes. This is the one I was looking for. So there is a legend that the 12 Days of Christmas song was actually, it was a poem that was transformed into a carol when it was at a time when it was dangerous to openly share your Christian faith.
Okay.
Okay. So on the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. The partridge in the pear tree represents Jesus.
Gotcha.
Okay. So true love, God, God, overarching big
Yep.
God.
Is the pear tree the cross?
Actually, Christ is symbolically presented as a mother partridge, the only bird that will die to protect its young.
Okay.
How about that? Second day of Christmas, what do we get?
2 turtle doves.
Yes. This is the Old Testament and the New Testament. On the third day of Christmas, 3 French hens. Now, this could be the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I don't know how comfortable I am calling God a hen, but they
true.
say that the hens lay eggs, new life, new birth. Okay.
Johnny Cash says the father hen will call the chickens home.
Oh, there you go.
The father hen?
The most popular interpretation of this is faith, hope, and love.
Okay.
Greatest of these is love. I said,
Yeah.
okay, so the 3 virtues. Fourth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 4 calling birds.
Cool.
These are the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
4 calling birds. Then we get 5 gold rings.
The part of the song that everybody knows.
Love that song. Yes, absolutely. What do you think the 5 gold rings is? It's the 5 first books of the Old Testament,
I was
known as
just
the
gonna
Torah
say,
or the
yeah.
Pentateuch.
Gotcha.
Here we go. Sixth day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 6 geese a laying.
What's geese a laying?
Geese a laying. 6 geese slaying.
6 geese slaying.
6 geese a laying. And then this is the 6 days of creation.
Okay.
Man, dang. All right, I was almost going to be like, maybe it's the days, but I'm like, well, but it'd have been 7.
No, because
Dang.
7 days rest.
I should have just
the world was
shown.
hatched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So on the 7th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 7 swans a swimming. This is a little bit more cryptic. They say that this is that's referring to the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit: prophecy, ministry, teaching, exhortation, giving, leading, and compassion.
Is that
okay.
Corinthians?
Swans are one of the most beautiful and graceful creatures on earth. They would be a perfect symbol for spiritual gifts.
Gotcha.
Checks
All
out.
right.
Yeah.
Close enough. And then there are 8 maids a milking. What do you think about that?
Someone needs some cereal.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Maybe so. How about the 8 beatitudes?
Okay.
There you go.
How about that? Blessed, poor in spirit, those who mourn, the meek, those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, so on and so forth. Okay, on the 9th day of Christmas, we got 9 ladies dancing.
Let me pause you. Every time as you start these, are you going on the night in your head?
I do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure we're on the same page.
And be honest, so are you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, 9 ladies dancing. What do you think that is? How about the fruits of the Spirit?
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Galatians 5. Okay.
love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control.
Against such there is no law.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then we have 10 Lords a-leaping.
I don't guess that's the 10
10.
commandments.
Yes, it is.
All right. Finally, I got one.
Got one. 10 commandments, yes. On the 11th day of Christmas, we got 11 pipers piping. This is
that a tricky
interesting.
one?
Yeah, it is tricky. It is the 12 disciples minus
Judas.
Sucks to be you, nerd.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have
How
been
about that?
hanging from a tree.
That's exactly right. And then, yeah.
He's busy swinging from a tree.
See, now that's odd because I would have thought that 12 would have been
The disciples. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. I was like, I bet you the 12th one is the 12 disciples. But
Well-
they're like, nah, bro.
Or is it the 12 tribes of Israel?
I'm going to find it because but I'm missing a page on this one. I don't have the 12 on this one. Where?
Oh, man.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Let me find it.
Gonna leave us with so much suspense here.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah.
Oh, that scared the crap out of me. I thought that. Hey, I was about to say I'm changing my answers. Aliens are real. They just got me.
Pat,
Logan, shoot.
Pat needs to change his underwear after the suspense.
Okay.
Scared the crap out of me.
Where's day 12?
In my pants.
You don't need any more rippets now.
Ooh, sure don't.
I hope
Well,
y'all
I
are
got
watching, because Pat, that's good startle. Did we get you good on there?
It did. No, I just see 12 days.
Oh yeah. Okay. Pat, somebody look up what's the 12th day. I
All
can't
right,
find
let's
it.
see.
Can't find it. I don't know where that page went.
What is the 12th day?
Yeah. Gotta have it. We have to do all 12 days, right?
We do, yeah.
Can't just leave it hanging, and I can't remember what it is.
What is the gift?
Okay.
12 drummers drumming.
Yes.
It's, if it tells me, behind
12 points of the Apostles' Creed.
That's it. That's
okay.
it. The
Man,
12.
that was not where I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. So
Makes sense.
Yep.
So we but the interesting thing is, of course, there are haters that say, "Oh no, it could never have been have meant that."
Yeah, it's about a bunch of birds.
Yeah.
They're saying, "Oh, it's it's just kind of a fun children's memory game."
That's pagan.
But yes, exactly.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah. Read the comments on some of these articles here. Anyway, but the interesting thing about it is, it makes reference to Christianity just by its very nature. And so, there's got to be something to this. Now, the critics will say that, the time this was written, which would have been in France, and the early, goes way back to, I don't know, the 1300s, something like that. That it was not dangerous to share your faith. The whole world was Catholic at that point.
So they'd have been more open about it.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was to be cryptic so that it would be, you could speak in code. Honestly, I think I like this this one Catholic priest sort of summation of the 12 Days of Christmas Carol, is that it was a fun way to help educate young children to the primary points of Scripture.
Yeah.
I think that's all it was.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
So now you know what the 12 Days of Christmas represent. Now you know all about Epiphany.
Yeah.
But I really think we ought to do this Epiphany thing.
Yeah.
I think that's
and
pretty cool.
Also, too, that lets us know how jank we are as songwriters today. 12 Days of Christmas come out hundreds of years ago, and it's still a hit.
I know.
Yeah, I don't hear any theology in Father's House, Corey Asbury.
Dude,
that's gonna die off pretty quick.
My Christmas playlist, it's like when I go on there, it's always the Christmas classics.
Yeah.
Like I just can't do the modern Christmas songs. Just don't do it for me.
Come on, you don't like George Michael and Mariah Carey?
I like them.
Well, I guess I can say the old Wham song, or what's the song?
Oh,
This Christmas or Last Christmas, isn't that George Michael?
Yeah.
Wham, wasn't that his band?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah. Make it big.
Yeah. Now, see, I can listen to some of those. I guess when I say probably about 90s is when I stopped advancing.
Yeah, I love the Mariah Carey and Creed, My Sacrifice.
I do too. That one is very good.
Hilarious.
That is good. What's your favorite Christmas song?
It's Oh Holy Night.
By who?
Honestly, I would have to say my go-to is Nat King Cole.
All right.
Traditional.
But do you like Groban on there? And you like his version?
I'm not a big fan of his because he has a weird vibrato thing to his voice, and it doesn't. Yeah, I just don't kind of.
Yeah.
I love the way Nat King Cole sings. Sings the crap out of that song.
What's yours, Pat?
August Burns Red, Carol of the Bells.
I would expect none less.
Okay.
There you go. Yep. That's good.
Yep.
Mine is Nat King Cole, and it's a Christmas song.
Oh, love that.
I just
love that.
That song just puts me in the Christmas mode, man. Like,
have you ever roasted chestnuts?
I have not, but I want to just from that
I
song.
kind of do too.
Have you? You never have either?
No.
That is that to me. And I actually, my son and I were laughing about this. My favorite Christmas movie is the Christmas is A Christmas Story.
Right.
And my favorite Christmas song is A Christmas Song or The Christmas Song.
How bland can you get?
That's what I said. I was
Talk
like,
about a gray man.
Yeah, so I was like, how
That guy's
boring.
real name is John Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like, how boring is that? Yeah.
That's boiled chicken.
What's a Christmas song that you can't stand?
Oh, gosh. I hate
Mariah Carey.
Well-
All I want for Christmas is you.
That is
Michael
so
Bublé's version of any Christmas song.
Michael
makes me wanna-
Bublé's version of anything.
Yes. Yes.
Talented guy, just that's not my thing.
My least favorite Christmas carol is "Do You See What I See?"
Do you? Yes.
Because I don't even know what that really means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see what I see? I've never thought about it like that. Do you see what I see? What about Mary Did You Know?
Well,
Does that annoy
She knew.
you as much as it
Yes,
annoys
yes,
everybody else?
She knew.
honestly, it's so weird that you bring that up because I really, I've done that song and directed that song and arranged that song so many ways, so many different years. I just really got burnt. And the reason I continue to put it in the shows is because everybody loves that song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People go crazy
Oh,
over it.
my mom would probably cry today if y'all started
and
singing it.
It is beautifully written. It's a very rangy song. You got to be able to sing low and high. So it's a dramatic song. And I used to just go, oh, come on, man, one more time. But then this pastor that I follow occasionally on YouTube did a YouTube episode on this theology behind certain Christmas songs, and he did "Mary Did You Know," and he made it make a whole lot of sense, and it was like really.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, so I can't hate that song anymore. So I don't actually hate it. I'm
check
over
it
it,
out.
but
Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
I'll try to send you a link.
A cheesy one. I say cheesy. It's just kind of like it's been played a ton. This would be an Easter song. I love the song "Arise, My Love."
I know.
Like
I do too.
the part when it goes "Arise," and
I know. I know.
I will like blow the glass out of my truck jamming that part.
when they came to do that concert, I said, 2 songs you have to do: "Can't Keep a Good Man Down" and "Arise, My Love." Yes, and they did.
Nice.
Did they rock it?
Oh, yes, they did. It was amazing. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Least favorite?
Mariah Carey.
Okay.
That is your least
Yeah,
favorite?
it is. It's so annoying to me.
But out of all the, like Christmas carols,
Oh,
what's your least favorite Christmas carol?
what's the one? So bring us some figgy pudding.
Oh, yeah, that one
We
is
Wish You a Merry
terrible.
Christmas.
That
That
one,
one is
yeah.
really
I don't
bad.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be mine too. That one
Yeah.
is pretty bad.
Yeah.
And who eats figgy pudding? Like what? Who eats that?
I don't know what it is. And if I hear that song, I'm just immediately like, oh.
I don't like. I have a fig tree right there at my house, and my wife and kids will eat the figs. I'm not a big fig fan.
Yeah. You wouldn't like figgy pudding. then.
No, I don't. I can't even. What do you, like figgy pudding?
Yeah, I love Carol of the Bells, and then August Burns Red just like metals it up.
Okay, so-
it's great.
Yes.
So I think one of our projects for next year is to write some New Year's songs because there's really only one and it's super cheesy.
Good. I'll get to work on that.
What are you doing New Year's? New
Yeah.
Year's Eve. Yes, that one. It's like,
Yeah,
so,
let's
can we
do
not,
it. Yeah,
Can we not write some Epiphany carols?
yeah, and we got a year to do it.
I know. Hold
I'm
on.
so talented in the music part. I'll work on that.
You do it. Do it. Absolutely. Epiphany means manifestation. It's like
I figured because I've
a
heard
new
like, man, I
awakening.
had an epiphany.
Yeah, exactly. Just so that's where we're going to leave it. We're gonna have we covered everything from what a weird year this was.
Yep.
And it's funny because there's this concept called Nazi syndrome.
Yeah.
And it's when you're evaluating something by at least it's not the worst. So it's like, this is a really, really bad person, but at least he's not Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not as
Well,
bad
that's
as
been
Hitler.
heard a lot.
I know. But so that's kind of the way I feel about 2023.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad year because it wasn't as bad as 2020.
That's true. Very true.
But was it a really good year?
Yeah. Hey, did we do our Nostradamus, whatever, like projection for next year?
Well, we kind of did, but we'll end that way. If you could predict one thing for next year, what would it be? What's
A
going to happen?
90s revolution.
Okay, a revisiting of the grunge era.
Well, I don't think it's going to be like necessarily just music. I'm talking about it's going to be the angst, the same 90s vibe that everyone had.
So that's Pat's revitalization of 90s. What's yours?
Man, I'm gonna, hey, look, I was the aliens guy, so I guess I feel like I kind of gotta throw like a bit of a Hail Mary out there.
Do it.
So I'm gonna say, and if this comes true, it's awesome. I mean, well, I guess it's not awesome, but I'm just gonna say, man, we're just gonna have a grid meltdown. It's gonna go down. The whole shebang is coming down in 2024, and we'll be having church with candle lights there. Man, I'm gonna go that. I'm gonna go. I feel I owe it to just go all the way out there. Aliens will be in studio with us next year.
Yeah. All right, now y'all are about to hear it right now. Peter's going to set a date, 2024. What's going to happen?
Yep. I'm not going to nail it down to a date.
The wind or the end of times.
I will predict.
Yes.
I will predict that I still will not know when Jesus is coming back.
Yes.
I really think that something significant spiritually is going to happen, like something that is going to be. I don't want to throw around the term revival, renewal, awakening. I don't even know what that means right now.
So the word something.
I think that there will be a significant move of God, like a supernatural phenomenon. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I don't know when, in what way, but I think the whole Asbury thing was just kind of a
precursor.
little
An appetizer.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think, and I want to be in on it.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of it.
Well,
for sure.
So think about this. I mean, like, this is kind of where my weird mind goes, but I'm like, how cool would it be? Let's say we did have some crazy solar flare, takes out the grid, no power. The world has devolved into chaos, but you have the churches that have lasted. They're still meeting, and you got all this chaos going on. What a thing. Like, people are just, thing is crazy, but they still see, it's like, what is this thing over here? All these people are getting together. Like, the world is mad, but you got this group of people, they still get together and they're singing. Like, and maybe in the chaos of everything, because you won't be distracted by your phone or anything anymore. So in the chaos, they're like, what is that? I hear like music. Like, what is this sound I hear?
You hear what I hear?
Maybe that's what it meant.
Yes. Yes. So, I mean, I'm like, man.
But think about this. Let's take all of our separate predictions and put them all together.
Yeah.
So you got this general state of unrest and angst going on, and all of a sudden something pops and the world breaks, and then all of a sudden here comes Jesus on a white horse, just like the AI picture.
Yes.
And it just as a groundswell of supernatural, God activity.
Yep.
It could. I mean, I like that prediction.
I do too.
What you said.
I do too.
I mean, okay.
Well, that's the sense of that's like the sense of stability amongst chaos.
Yeah.
It's Jesus.
And then that gives me that perfect image too of like when Jesus comes back, it's like Metallica, Master of Puppets is going
Yes, it
off.
goes good with August Burns Red. Yeah.
Crisis precedes renewal.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. So, but until then, use your technology to hit that subscribe button and the like button.
And since we're in the last show of the year, tell us, what was your favorite show so far? What was your favorite episode?
Absolutely. Yeah. And also tell us all about your favorite and least favorite Christmas carols and, all the stuff that we've been talking about.
We just want to hear from you guys.
Yeah, tell us all the things.
We're trying to create a little community here.
Yeah.
So you be part of our community. And until then, you've got like 10 more days to celebrate Christmas.
Yep.
And look up the recipe for the King's Cake and make one of those. And we'll all have a big celebration on January 6th.
Sounds good. Guys, hit that like button.
Appreciate you.
Hit
Love y'all.
subscribe. Hit share. And we will, I guess, catch you next year.
Next year, yeah.
Take care.